My name is Andrea, and this is the story of how my cowardice killed my best friend, and how it took me 10 years to finally fight back. I need to tell you about Emma first, because understanding who she was makes everything that happened afterward make sense. Emma transferred to Lincoln High School in sophomore year, right in the middle of the fall semester, when cliques were already established and nobody wanted to make room for the new girl. She sat alone at lunch for the first 3 days, this tiny blonde girl with oversized glasses and a nervous smile, looking like she was trying to disappear into the cafeteria walls. I was sitting with my usual group, not the popular kids, but not the outcasts either. We were safely in the middle, invisible enough to avoid attention from the people who mattered. That's where I like to be. Invisible meant safe. But something about Emma made me walk over to her table on day 4. "Hey," I said, "want to sit with us? Eating alone sucks." Her face lit up like I'd just offered her $1 million. "Really? That would be amazing." That's how our friendship started. Simple, easy. She folded into our group seamlessly, and within weeks, it felt like she'd always been there. Emma was funny in this quiet, clever way. She'd make observations that had you laughing 5 minutes later when you actually processed what she'd said. She was smart, like genuinely brilliant, but never made anyone feel stupid. She loved photography and always had her camera, capturing moments the rest of us didn't even notice were special. She also had anxiety, bad anxiety, the kind that made her hands shake before presentations. That made her triple check that doors were locked, that sometimes kept her home from school when it all became too much. "My brain just lies to me sometimes," she explained once, "tells me everyone hates me, that something terrible is about to happen, that I'm not safe. I know it's not rational, but knowing that doesn't make it stop." I didn't really understand it back then. I thought anxiety was just being nervous, something you could talk yourself out of if you tried hard enough. I didn't understand that for Emma. Her brain was actively working against her every single day. Junior year is when Melissa Porter noticed us. Melissa was everything high school movies tell you a bully is: beautiful, charismatic, cruel, in ways that seemed almost artistic. She was a senior, captain of the volleyball team, dating the quarterback, living the cliché, but somehow making it seem aspirational. She also had this gift for finding people's weak spots and pressing on them until they broke. I don't know why she chose Emma as a target. Maybe because Emma was small and jumpy and obviously vulnerable. Maybe because Emma's anxiety made her an easy victim. Maybe Melissa was just bored and cruel and Emma was there. It started small. Comments in the hallway. "Nice shirt, Emma. Did you get it at the thrift store? Why do you walk like that? It's like you're always expecting someone to hit you. Does your face always look scared? Or is that just for me?" Emma would shrink into herself, trying to laugh it off, but I could see how much it hurt her. Could see her pulling her sleeves over her hands, hunching her shoulders, trying to take up less space. Just ignore her, I'd say. "She's a bitch. Everyone knows it." But Emma couldn't ignore her. That's not how anxiety works. Every comment became proof that Emma was everything her brain told her she was. Unwanted, pathetic, wrong somehow. The bullying escalated. Melissa started posting about Emma on social media, nothing directly naming her, but coded enough that everyone at school knew who she meant. Some people really need to learn that not everyone wants to be their friend. Take a hint. If your entire personality is being anxious and needy, maybe work on that instead of inflicting it on everyone else. Why do teachers let certain people do group projects, like we all know who's going to do nothing and then cry about it? Each post got dozens of likes, comments agreeing with her. People Emma thought were friends laughing along with Melissa's cruelty. Emma's anxiety got worse. She started having panic attacks at school, full-blown attacks where she couldn't breathe, where she'd have to leave class and sit in the bathroom until she could function again. You should report Melissa, I told her. Tell a counselor or a teacher. What she's doing isn't okay. What would I even say? Emma asked, her voice small. She's not technically doing anything wrong. She never uses my name. She's just expressing her opinions. That's what everyone will say. That I'm too sensitive. That I need to learn to take a joke. She was probably right. That's exactly what they'd say. Melissa's friends joined in. Suddenly, Emma had an entire group of popular seniors making her life hell. They'd whisper when she walked by, laugh when she dropped something, film her during her panic attacks, and share the videos in private group chats. I knew about the videos because someone in my math class showed me one. Emma in the bathroom, hyperventilating, tears streaming down her face, completely unaware she was being recorded. This is fucked up, I said, my voice shaking. You guys are fucked up for sharing this. Relax, Andrea, the girl said. It's just a joke. Emma's so dramatic about everything. If she didn't want people to notice her freakouts, maybe she shouldn't have them in public. I should have fought harder, should have made them delete it, should have reported it to someone who could actually do something. But I didn't. Because I was scared that if I made too much noise, if I defended Emma too loudly, Melissa's attention would shift to me, and I couldn't handle that. I wasn't strong enough. So I stayed quiet. I comforted Emma when she cried, told her Melissa was a bitch, said all the right supportive things in private, but publicly, I did nothing. Spring of junior year, Melissa's campaign against Emma reached new levels. Someone, and we all knew it was Melissa or her friends, created a fake Instagram account called Emma's Anxiety Diaries. They posted edited photos of Emma with captions mocking her anxiety, her appearance, her mannerisms. They made memes out of her panic attacks. The account got hundreds of followers in days. People from our school, from other schools, even some adults who thought it was funny. Emma was devastated. I can't do this anymore, she told me one day after school. We were sitting in her car, and she was crying so hard she couldn't see. I can't go back there. I can't face them. Andrea, I feel like I'm dying every single day. We'll report the account, I said. We'll get it taken down. It doesn't matter, Emma interrupted. Even if that account gets deleted, there will be another one. Or they'll find some other way. They won't stop, Andrea. People like Melissa don't stop until they completely destroy you. Then we fight back, I said. But even as I said it, I knew I didn't mean it. I was terrified of fighting back, terrified of becoming Melissa's next target. How? Emma asked. How do we fight back against someone everyone loves, against someone who's graduating in 2 months and moving on while we're stuck here for another year? I didn't have an answer. Emma stopped coming to school regularly after that. She'd miss 2 or 3 days a week. And when she was there, she was a ghost. Barely spoke, barely ate, just existed in the smallest way possible, trying not to be noticed. Her parents took her to therapists, tried different medications, did everything they could. But how do you medicate away the fact that every day at school was torture? That the place where you were supposed to be safe was actually where you were most vulnerable? I tried to be there for her. I really did. I'd text her every day, visit her house when she was too anxious to leave, sit with her at lunch when she managed to come to school. But I never stood up to Melissa, never confronted her publicly, never risked my own safety to protect Emma's. I told myself it wouldn't matter, that Melissa was graduating soon anyway, that Emma just needed to survive a few more months and then it would be over. I was wrong. 3 weeks before the end of junior year, Emma killed herself. She did it on a Tuesday night, took all the pills she'd been prescribed for anxiety, and went to sleep and never woke up. Her mom found her Wednesday morning when Emma didn't come down for breakfast. I got the call from another friend during second period. I remember everything about that moment, the way the fluorescent lights made everything look too bright, the way my hands went numb, the way the counselor's voice sounded like it was coming from underwater when she told us what had happened. Emma left a note. Her parents shared parts of it with close friends, and I wished they hadn't because I couldn't ever unread those words. I'm tired of being afraid all the time. I'm tired of hating myself. I'm tired of everyone else hating me too. I know my brain lies to me, but sometimes lies feel more real than truth. Maybe everyone would be happier if I just wasn't here anymore. I'm sorry, I couldn't be stronger. The funeral was packed. Everyone from school came, including Melissa and her friends, crying and posting about what a tragedy it was, acting like they hadn't spent months systematically destroying a vulnerable girl. I sat in the back, numb, watching people who'd tormented Emma now playing the role of grieving friends, and I hated them. But more than that, I hated myself, because I could have stopped it. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. I could have stood up to Melissa. I could have made more noise. I could have risked my own comfort and safety to protect someone who actually needed protection, but I hadn't. I'd chosen my own peace over Emma's life, and now she was dead. The school did the predictable thing after Emma's death. They brought in grief counselors. They held an assembly about bullying and mental health. They promised to do better, to create a safer environment, to take harassment more seriously. It was all bullshit. Empty words from adults who'd done nothing while Emma was alive and suffering. The Instagram account got deleted, the videos got taken down. Melissa graduated and went off to college like nothing had happened. Life went on for everyone, except Emma, and except me, in a different way. I spent the summer after junior year in therapy, trying to process the guilt that was eating me alive. My therapist was kind, but direct. "You were also a child," she said. "You were also afraid. You can't blame yourself for not being able to protect someone when you were in the same environment, facing the same threats." "But I could have done something," I insisted. "I should have done something." "Maybe," she agreed, "but you didn't, and you have to find a way to live with that. The question is, what are you going to do differently going forward?" I didn't have an answer then. Senior year, I came back to school different, harder, angrier. I couldn't save Emma, but I could make sure what happened to her didn't happen to anyone else. I started noticing things I'd ignored before. The way certain groups targeted vulnerable students. The way teachers looked the other way. The way administrators talked about bullying prevention while doing nothing to actually prevent it. When I saw a sophomore girl getting harassed in the hallway, two senior guys making fun of her weight, her clothes, her existence, I didn't walk past like I used to. I stopped. "Leave her alone." They looked at me like I was crazy. "What's your problem, Andrea?" "My problem is that you think it's funny to torture someone who's just trying to get through the day. Back off." "Or what?" one of them challenged. "Or I'll make sure everyone knows what assholes you are," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'll film you doing this shit and post it everywhere. Let's see how funny it is when it's you getting destroyed online." They backed off. They muttered things about me being a bitch, about me needing to learn to take a joke, but they left her alone. The girl, her name was Jessica, looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," I said. "Just pay it forward. When you see someone else getting treated like shit, don't walk past. Okay?" She nodded. It became my thing senior year. I became the person who intervened, who called out bullies, who made noise when I saw injustice. Some people thought I was doing it for attention. Others thought I was trying to make up for Emma, like I could somehow earn back her life by saving others. They were probably right about that second part. I reported incidents to administrators, even though they rarely did anything. I sat with kids who were eating alone. I confronted people who were spreading rumors or posting cruel things online. I made myself a target, which was what I'd been afraid of all along. But here's what I learned. Being a target wasn't as bad as living with the guilt of doing nothing. People talked shit about me, called me dramatic, said I was on some kind of crusade, made jokes about me being the school's social justice warrior. I didn't care. Because every time I stopped someone from being cruel, every time I gave a bullied kid a moment of relief, I felt like maybe, Emma's death wasn't completely meaningless. Graduation came. I gave a speech as valedictorian, and instead of the typical inspirational bullshit about following dreams and staying positive, I talked about Emma. We lost someone, I said, looking out at my classmates and the parents and teachers in the audience. We lost someone who was funny and kind and talented. We lost her because we created an environment where being vulnerable was dangerous, where asking for help was seen as weakness, where cruelty was entertainment and standing up for others was social suicide. I saw administrators shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Emma's death wasn't a tragedy that just happened, I continued. It was the result of choices. Choices to be cruel, choices to stay silent, choices to prioritize our own comfort over someone else's survival. My voice cracked. I made those choices. I chose silence when I should have chosen courage. I chose safety when I should have chosen friendship, and I will live with that for the rest of my life. The auditorium was completely silent. So here's what I want to say to everyone graduating today. Be better, be braver. Don't wait until someone is dead to wish you'd stood up for them. Don't let fear of what people think keep you from doing what's right, because I promise you, living with guilt is so much worse than living with social consequences. I saw Emma's parents in the front row, both crying. Her mom nodded at me. And that small gesture meant more than any award or recognition I'd ever received. After graduation, I went to college across the country. I needed distance from Lincoln High School, from the memories, from the guilt that still lived in every hallway and classroom. I majored in social work, because if I couldn't save Emma, maybe I could save someone else's Emma. I volunteered at crisis lines. I worked with anti-bullying organizations. I spoke at schools about mental health and the real consequences of harassment. And slowly, very slowly, I learned to forgive myself, not completely. I don't think you ever completely forgive yourself for something like that, but enough to function, enough to live. 10 years after Emma's death, I was living in Portland, working as a counselor at a high school similar to the one Emma and I attended. I'd been there for 2 years, and I'd learned to recognize the signs, the kids who were being targeted, the ones who were becoming dangerously withdrawn, the ones whose anxiety was spiraling beyond their control. There was this girl, Kayla, a freshman who reminded me painfully of Emma. Small, quiet, anxious in a way that made her an easy target. And there was this group of junior girls who'd decided Kayla was their entertainment. It started the way it always starts. Comments, laughter, social media posts that were just vague enough to have plausible deniability. The ringleader was named Ashley, beautiful, popular, cruel, Melissa Porter 2.0. I saw it happening, and something in me snapped. Not today, not again, never again. I called Kayla into my office one afternoon. She came in looking terrified, like she thought she was in trouble. "You're not in trouble," I said immediately. "I just wanted to check in. How are you doing?" "Fine," she said automatically, the response every bullied kid gives. "Kayla, I need you to know something. What Ashley and her friends are doing to you? It's not okay. It's harassment, it's bullying, and it's not going to continue." Her eyes filled with tears. "It's not that bad. I can handle it." "You shouldn't have to handle it," I said firmly. "You should be able to come to school without being afraid, without being targeted. That's your right." "But if I report them, it'll just get worse," Kayla said, and her voice was so much like Emma's that it physically hurt. "They'll make my life hell." "Not if I do my job right," I said. I spent the next week building a case. I documented every incident I witnessed. I collected screenshots of social media posts from other students who were willing to share. I interviewed kids who'd seen the harassment happen, and then I went to the principal. "This is a pattern of targeted harassment," I said, laying out everything I'd gathered. Multiple incidents, multiple witnesses, clear evidence. We need to take action. The principal, an older man named Dr. Richardson, sighed. "Andrea, I appreciate your passion, but we have to be careful here. Ashley comes from a prominent family. Her father is on the school board. If we come down too hard on her without absolute proof— We have absolute proof, I interrupted. What we don't have is courage. And the longer we prioritize protecting a bully over protecting her victim, the closer we get to another Emma. His face changed. That's not fair, isn't it? How many times did Emma's teachers see what was happening and do nothing? How many administrators knew and looked the other way? How many times did adults fail to protect a vulnerable kid because it was politically inconvenient? This is different. It's exactly the same, I said. The only difference is that this time I'm not staying silent. This time I'm fighting. So you can either help me or you can get out of my way. Dr. Richardson looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded. What do you need? We called Ashley into the office along with her parents. We presented the evidence. We explained that her behavior constituted harassment and that there would be consequences: suspension, mandatory counseling, removal from her leadership position on student council. Ashley's father was furious. This is ridiculous. Girls have disagreements. That's normal teenage behavior. You can't punish my daughter for— Your daughter isn't being punished for having disagreements, I interrupted. She's being punished for systematically harassing another student, for posting about her online, for encouraging others to target her, for creating an environment where Kayla doesn't feel safe at school. That girl is too sensitive, Ashley's mother said. If she can't handle normal social dynamics— Harassment isn't normal social dynamics, I said, my voice harder than I'd intended. And blaming the victim for being too sensitive is exactly how we end up with dead kids. The room went silent. 10 years ago, I watched my best friend get bullied until she killed herself, I continued, looking directly at Ashley. I watched her become a shell of who she was. I watched her anxiety spiral until she couldn't function. And I did nothing. I stayed quiet because I was scared, because I didn't want to become a target. Ashley's eyes were wide, and for the first time, she looked actually scared. She's dead, I said flatly. Emma is dead because people like you thought it was fun to destroy someone who was already struggling, and because people like me didn't stop you. I turned to Ashley's parents. So here's what's going to happen. Ashley is going to serve her suspension. She's going to attend counseling. She's going to write a formal apology to Kayla. And if there is even one more incident, one more comment, one more post, one more anything, she'll be expelled. Am I clear? Ashley's father looked like he wanted to argue, but something in my expression stopped him. He nodded stiffly. After they left, Dr. Richardson looked at me with something like respect. That was intense. Emma deserved someone to fight that hard for her, I said. Kayla deserves it too. The next week, I got called into Dr. Richardson's office. Ashley's father had filed a complaint against me, claiming I'd been unprofessional and emotionally volatile. He's pushing for you to be reprimanded or let go, Dr. Richardson said. My stomach dropped. So that's it? I stand up to a bully and I lose my job? No, Dr. Richardson said firmly. I told him that you acted appropriately given the circumstances, and that the school supports your handling of the situation. He's not happy, but he backed down. I felt tears of relief building. Thank you. Don't thank me, he said. You did the hard thing, the right thing. That takes courage. It took me 10 years to find that courage, I said quietly. 10 years too late for the person who needed it most. But not too late for Kayla, Dr. Richardson pointed out. You saved her, Andrea. That matters. Kayla came to my office a few days later. Ashley apologized to me, she said, looking surprised. It seemed like she actually meant it, or at least, like, she was actually scared of getting in more trouble. Good, I said. How are you doing? Better, Kayla admitted. The other girls have backed off too. It's like, once someone actually stood up to them, they realized they couldn't just do whatever they wanted. That's usually how bullies work, I said. They rely on everyone staying silent. Kayla was quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? The friend you mentioned? Emma. Was she really your best friend? Yeah, I said, feeling the familiar ache in my chest. She was. I'm sorry I reminded you of her. Don't be sorry, I said. You didn't remind me of her. You gave me a chance to do what I should have done for her. You gave me a chance to be brave when it actually mattered. Kayla nodded slowly. Thank you for fighting for me. Nobody's ever done that before. Everyone deserves someone who'll fight for them, I said. Always remember that. And when you're older, when you see someone who needs help, be that person for them. Break the cycle. I will, she promised. After she left, I sat alone in my office and cried. Not sad tears, exactly. More like release. Like something that had been locked inside me for 10 years was finally able to escape. I couldn't save Emma. I would live with that guilt forever. But I saved Kayla, and over the years since, I've helped save dozens of other kids who were walking the same dangerous path Emma walked. That night, I went to Emma's grave for the first time in 5 years. I'd avoided it for a long time because it hurt too much, because facing her death felt like facing my own failure. But this time felt different. I sat next to her headstone and talked to her like she was still there, still listening. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough back then, I said. I'm sorry I chose my own safety over your life. I'm sorry I let them hurt you. I'm sorry I wasn't the friend you deserved. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost imagine it was Emma, telling me it was okay. But I'm trying to be better, I continued. I'm trying to be the person I should have been for you. I'm fighting now, finally. I'm standing up to bullies. I'm protecting kids who can't protect themselves. I'm being brave. I traced my fingers over her name on the stone. Emma Caroline Foster, 1993-2010. I hope that means something, I whispered. I hope wherever you are, you can see that your death wasn't for nothing, that it changed me, that it made me into someone who fights instead of someone who hides. I stayed there until the sun set, talking to my dead friend, making promises I intended to keep. 10 years after Emma's death, I finally understood something. You can't undo the past. You can't bring back the people you failed to save. You can't erase your mistakes or wish away your guilt. But you can choose differently going forward. You can become someone who stands up instead of someone who stays silent. You can transform your guilt into action, your regret into courage. Emma died because people were cruel, and I was cowardly. But Kayla lived because I learned to be brave. And in the years since, I've helped save countless others. Not because it erases what happened to Emma, but because it honors her memory in the only way I know how. By making sure that no other Andrea has to live with the guilt of doing nothing. By making sure that no other Emma dies waiting for someone to fight for her. My name is Andrea, and this is how I learned that sometimes the hardest person to stand up to isn't the bully, it's your own fear. But once you do it, once you find that courage, you realize that living with social consequences is nothing compared to living with guilt. You realize that being uncomfortable is nothing compared to being complicit. You realize that standing up for others doesn't just save them, it saves you too. Emma, wherever you are, I'm sorry I failed you then, but I promise I'll never fail another you again.